Hi folks, Andy Fionn here from Rambles with Robin and Ruby. As I said in my last video, Canada is remarkable for its landscape diversity. In this video, we explore another piece of Canada's diverse landscape, some of the Badlands near the city of Drumheller. During this Badland discovery, with our two grandsons Braden and Adrian, we hiked to the bottom of the Horse Thief Canyon, visited the famous Willow Creek hoodoos, stopped for a snack in the Badlands near the Last Chance Saloon in Wayne, enjoyed a spin on the go-kart at the Cactus Coulee Fun Park and Campground, and camped at the 11 Bridges Campground in Rosedeer, all in Alberta, Canada. I acknowledge that this video was composed in the homelands of several First Nations in Treaty 7 area and the Métis people. I appreciate that recognizing Indigenous people using treaty areas is not a good way, and for that I apologize. I recognize and thank the First Nations and Métis people as stewards of this land for thousands of years. Thank you, miigwech. Join us as our grandsons got to see the Badlands up close and personal, while having a bit of fun as well. We started our Badland tour at Wayne Community Cemetery Rest Area in Wayne, Alberta. Wayne is considered to be a ghost town, although 25 to 30 people live there. I read that the rest area and memorial acknowledge the people who passed away in the Wayne area. I understand that most of the remains of the original cemetery were reinterred in Drumheller Cemetery, but apparently some old headstones remain on a nearby ridge where the original cemetery was located. This is coal mining country. In fact, you can see a coal bed exposed in the Badland sedimentary rocks behind the memorial. Working and living conditions at the Rosedeer mine were harsh. The appalling living conditions, dangerous working conditions, and low wages drove the miners towards unionism. In one way, these Alberta coal mines contributed to the birth of organizations like the Mine Workers Union of Canada, which helped change the face of Canada's social labor movement. We then visited the Badlands around the Rosedeer Hotel and the Last Chance Saloon. So this is the Last Chance Saloon in Wayne, Alberta. Rosedeer Hotel, supposed to be haunted, in the Badlands. Pretty cool and very good ice cream at the home Coulee Shoppy. The Rosedeer Hotel was built in 1913 by the Rosedeer Coal Mining Company during the booming coal mine era. Although we did not go inside the Rosedeer Hotel, tourist information shows that it has 6 period-relevant vintage theme rooms available to stay in. Similarly, we did not enter the saloon. I read that it was once referred to as a bucket of blood because of the fights the miners got into. Apparently, there are even some preserved bullet holes in the saloon. But one YouTube video suggests those bullet holes are more modern in origin. On the local Badlands, our grandsons saw their first wild cactus. Braden and Adrian were amazed to realize that cactus are able to grow in Canada despite our cold climate, just as I was amazed when I saw my first cactus many years ago. While wandering around the local Badlands, we came across this tree covered by stuffed toys, located near the Last Chance Saloon. I can't find any information about the inspiration behind this tree. Let me know in the comments if you have any insights. We then drove along the Red Deer River Valley, marveled at the Badland Canyon walls, and arrived at the stunning Willow Creek hoodoos. There is a large parking lot with a restroom and vendors selling food. It's a popular place during the tourist season for good reason. The hoodoos here are very well developed. Adrian and Braden were able to wander around the Badland hoodoos. I note that a metal pathway has been erected to protect the more sensitive areas. Hoodoos are a distinctive feature found in most, if not all, of the Badlands, like this small one we saw at Horse Thief Canyon. A hoodoo consists of an upright pillar of rock that was created by erosion of softer rock. The hoodoo may be several tens of meters tall and stand isolated from the surrounding rock, or it may sit in a cluster of distinct pillars. Hoodoos may also be small, about the size of a human. Generally, the ideal hoodoo is capped at the top of the pillar by a hard rock that resists erosion. In this case, that resistant rock is sandstone. In many of these hard sandstone rock caps, you can actually see curved or inclined bands that represent original preserved bedding, as seen in this image. The hard cap rock protects the pillar of softer rock below. It is that preferential erosion and removal of the soft pillar rock that creates the distinctive hoodoo column shape. Regarding the name hoodoo, some suggest it is derived from a southwestern United States First Nation called the Southern Paiute. They have a word hoodoo, which describes an object that is scary. Other First Nations in the southwest U.S. consider hoodoos to be the petrified remains of ancient beings who had been punished for some sort of misdemeanor. There are also suggestions that the word hoodoo is related to voodoo or hoodoo spirituality, but that derivation is increasingly being discounted in favor of the indigenous derivation. So, in our opinion, the Willow Creek hoodoos are a mandatory visit for your Badland journey. For a different view of the Badlands, we visited Horse Thief Canyon. Again, the drive from Drumheller to the canyon is mostly relatively flat farmland, but when you arrive at the canyon parking lot, you appreciate the magnitude of the Horse Thief Canyon Badland. The parking lot is large, and there is ample parking, even for big rigs. The hike down to the canyon is challenging and likely very slippery if the trail is wet, but there is an excellent view of the canyon from the parking lot, so the trip is worth the short drive from Drumheller just for that view alone. The Badlands are one of my favorite landscapes, but you might wonder what the Badlands are, how they got their name, and why the rocks are colored white, red, brown, or black. First, what are they? In the Drumheller area, the Badlands consist of deep canyons, ravines, and gullies, buttes or islands of rock that stand erect from the canyon floor, and hoodoos. The narrow Red Deer River flows along the canyon floor. Another distinctive feature of the Badlands are the layers of white, brown, red, orange, and black colored rocks exposed in the canyon walls. These canyon wall rocks formed about 70 million years ago during a time geologists call the Late Cretaceous period. Geologists call these layers of colored rock beds of sedimentary rock. The beds of sediments were deposited along the edge of an inland sea millions of years ago from rivers that carried the sedimentary sand, silt, clay, and volcanic ash derived from eroding the mountains nearby. Based on the color, you see three rock types. Brown-colored mudstone sedimentary rock, which sometimes looks like popcorn or mushroom caps when seen up close. This material contains a lot of clay minerals that become very slippery when wet. This mudstone formed from the deposition of fine particles of mud in and along ancient, slow-moving rivers. Some of the fine particles represent ash that was blown out of ancient volcanoes millions of years ago. The black-colored coal deposits formed long after ancient plant material accumulated in ancient swamps and was compressed when the rock was buried beneath the Earth's surface. The white-colored sandy rocks are called sandstones, often characterized by the presence of very thin inclined beds formed when suspended material grains of quartz, volcanic ash, altered shale, or calcium-rich minerals dropped out of fast-moving rivers. In this case, the inclined bedding, also called cross-bedding, reflects sedimentary deposits that were created by the flow and deposition of sediments from an ancient river. The red to brown-colored rusty rock is called ironstone, and it formed when dissolved iron-rich minerals or iron-rich chemicals in the groundwater seeped through and transformed layers of rock into hard, consolidated iron-rich rock. Often, when the enclosing softer rock is eroded away, fragments of ironstone accumulate on the ground. Now, how do the canyons form? The canyons were carved out by large, roaring meltwater rivers at the end of the last ice age, about 13,000 years ago. Those torrential meltwater rivers eroded the weak sedimentary rocks to create the canyon and gullies. This is one reason why the width of the canyon seen today, which is 3 kilometers or 2 miles across, is far wider than the present-day Red River, which is about 0.2 kilometers or 0.1 mile across. As shown by the near vertical rills or mini gullies on the cliff wall shown in this image, erosion of the Badlands continues today when torrential prairie thunderstorms create rapid runoff down the canyon walls, which erodes and removes the soft sedimentary rock. Regarding the origin of the name Badlands, the indigenous Lakota people were the first to name this landscape. Their name was Makosika, meaning bad land or land that is bad, based on their experiences with the challenging, rugged landscape, the extreme temperatures, and scarce water. Later, French explorers found these lands so difficult to traverse that they called the land Les Mauvaises Terres à Traverser, meaning bad lands to travel through. And that is the origin of the name Badlands. So we're at Horse Thief Canyon, and it's a bit of a rat's nest of trails heading down, so we're trying to find the best way to get down.
Yeah.
Not an ideal place if it's wet.
Oh my God.
This is a sort of a makeshift trail that heads down into the bottom of the Badlands. And I went down probably sometime in the mid-2000s. So we know it can be done. Just watching Adrian and Granny and Braden clamber down. And we're in the bottom of the valley. Well, we're not quite in the bottom of the canyon, but we made it down the worst of the scramble down the side of the valley. We're just walking down one of these, I wouldn't call it a slot canyon, but a river valley, creek valley. And just judging from the vegetation, which is lying down, probably yesterday there was a flash flood through here, just based on the orientation of the vegetation, which is still green and lying down. So we're approaching the bottom, however. Well, we're in the bottom of Horse Thief Canyon, walking along. There's lots of cactus here, some type of prickly pear, a whole host of other hot weather plants that I don't recognize. And now for a few words about some of the plants I saw growing on the floor of the Horse Thief Canyon. The floor of the canyon is a challenging place for plants to grow. During the summer, it is very hot and mostly dry, but periodic flash floods from prairie thunderstorms erode the canyon walls and the floor, making for unstable growing conditions. In winter, it is very cold. Yet, there are many native plants that make their home in the canyon Badlands. Note that I am not a trained botanist or biologist. All my species identifications come from my posts on iNaturalist, where people much more expert than I have confirmed or corrected my identifications. So, that is just a flavor for a few of the plants that I saw on the Horse Thief Canyon floor. In summary, Horse Thief Canyon is an excellent place to get a feel for the magnitude of some of the Badlands. There is an excellent view from the parking lot. If you are able and the trail is dry, hiking down to and along the bottom of the canyon is a real treat, especially if you want to see the geological landforms and some of the native plants in detail. After the Horse Thief Canyon hike, we stopped at a roadside go-kart park to give our grandsons a treat, that of driving some go-karts. That night, we stayed at the 11 Bridges Campground, located in Rose Deer, Alberta.
The highlight of today, August 11th, was going to see the hoodoos. As it was a very spectacular sight. We also saw cactus there, and I think the low light was how hot it was.
So, about 3 days ago, it was +2 in the morning.
Yes, I slept with a jacket on, and my hoodie and my t-shirt.
That was at the Columbia Ice Field.
Yes.
And 30 hours later, it was
27.
There you go. Changes really quickly when you get into the Badlands.
Okay, so today is August 11th, and today we did go-karting, and we got to see the canyon and the Badlands and the hoodoos. But my highlight out of all of that was probably seeing the canyon, and the low light was probably not having the opportunity to take a nap in the car.
And the canyon, does it have a name?
Horse Thief Canyon.
Horse Thief Canyon.
Yep.
It was pretty steep going down.
And going up.
So, that's a wrap for our look at some of the Badlands near Drumheller, Alberta, Canada. We explored the different personalities of the Badlands around Drumheller, Wayne, and Willow Creek areas. Our grandsons saw their first native cactus at Wayne, saw spectacular hoodoos at Willow Creek, hiked the floor of the Horse Thief Canyon, and got to drive some go-karts just for fun. It was a good day. I hope you enjoyed this view of some Alberta Badlands and perhaps even learned something new. If so, consider giving this video a like or drop a comment. And thanks for joining us. Cheers, stay well, bye for now.